Quiet on set.
Roll camera.
Sound speed.
Mark, please. And action.
Take one. Welcome back to Students in Focus. I'm Katie, student producer at the Utah Education Network. This episode features films created in a class called Real Stories at Spy Hop Productions. Real Stories gives youth the chance to share their stories to the world. This introductory class teaches creatives to write, edit, and direct their own 5-minute documentary film that speaks to who they are, what they're into, and where they live. We also feature an interview with filmmaker Bryan Rowland, who's explored various facets of the film industry throughout his career and is currently working as the showrunner for a docuseries called Welcome to Wrexham. Our first film is called The Reality of Having Cerebral Palsy, produced by Drake Becker. Drake has lived with cerebral palsy his whole life and is now ready to share his story with you. After years of seeing a lack of understanding and empathy from the public, he believes there just isn't enough awareness or knowledge for the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. In order for change, people need to see what it's really like.
People often ask me, what is it like to have cerebral palsy? What causes cerebral palsy?
Yeah, so CP is usually caused from damage to the developing brain. That can be, more often than not, it's when the brain is developing in utero, so before the child is born, before the baby's born. The damage could come from mom having an illness or a fever, something that carries into the fetus. It could also come from some trauma during birth, so maybe there is a difficult birth, difficulty in the birth canal, things like that. Or it could be caused within infancy, the first few months of life, of some sort of trauma or injury, whether it's physical or medical or things like that.
When Drake was born, he was really premature. He had a twin sister, and it was pretty scary for his mom and me. It was touch and go. We weren't sure if he was going to make it or if his sister was going to make it. I think my wife was called in to a room off of the NICU with a box of Kleenex and like a counselor of some sort, basically saying that Drake had experienced some sort of brain damage based on some tests they had done. And I remember I was at work at a meeting when my wife called me and let me know that. And again, I was kind of out of context and shocked, but when it really kind of hit home what Drake's life was going to be like, I remember being in the shower and just breaking down, just weeping.
When you were 4, you had a surgery called selective dorsal rhizotomy. And what that surgery is, for those that don't know, is it's a surgery that you get in your spine. And they sever the nerve endings to your spine that are overreactive and tightening your muscles. And it was a great surgery for you in the sense that it released a lot of the tight muscles that you had in your legs and allowed you to walk in your walker. It allowed you to be able to be much more independent with your mobility, getting in and out of your wheelchair and off and on chairs. So that was a great surgery.
So OT, occupational therapy, we are a breed of our own. Occupational therapists work on things you want to do and need to do and have difficulty doing. It's more, all right, I want you to hold this small thing in your hand, and I want you to give it to your left hand, and then I want you to give it to your right hand, and then I want you to pull these things apart. Because usually when he's doing things, his tendency is to do it with his left hand, and his right hand is out here or under here or anywhere else other than where it needs to be to help out. All right. So what I mean by using both hands together, for Drake, it's really hard to do something as simple to us as put this Lego piece on top of the head, or even to use both hands to kind of open it up. So this translates into everyday things of like opening up a Ziploc bag or opening up a bag of snacks, crackers, whatever you want. Extremely difficult for our guy here. So one thing that we've been working on in OT is, can we practice just taking these things that are smaller to grab and more difficult for his hands to manipulate and just pull them apart. So, pull it apart, my dude. Simple. Give me the red one. Now pull this one apart. Yeah, so when Drake sees the world, you see how his head is always down? Part of that is posture, but part of that is where his vision is. So like, if I took my eye line and cut it in half, what's below my fingers kind of doesn't exist for him. So he has to put his head down and look kind of through the top of his vision.
So the sidewalk is not ADA accessible, and especially downtown, because the sidewalk is unlevel. So like, my love and support of my family is very important to me. I feel like sometimes they don't understand what it's like mentally for me, and sometimes it gets really under my skin, and then I break down in tears because I'm like, I don't know, I want my life to change. Why does this have to happen? Like why is this such a struggle? Sometimes I ask myself, why do I exist?
Drake, can you brush? What do you, No, don't put your toothbrush in his mouth. Yuck. Okay.
I'm Lucy. I'm Drake's twin sister. A childhood memory that I have with him is that we were at a restaurant when we were about like 5 years old, and he fell off a chair, and some family friends of ours who were like kids started laughing at him, and I was like, that's my brother, that's not funny. That's like a little memory I have of us when we were younger. And then one thing that like can be a little annoying about having a sibling with disability is that sometimes it's hard for him to try things, and it can be a little annoying because you want to push him, but it's like hard to push him to do things. But yeah.
Since we learned about it and started to recognize and try to understand what it was to have a brain injury like the one Drake had that had a diagnosis of cerebral palsy, it's just opened up this whole other world to us of different people, of different levels of just humanity and kindness, and just a different way of experiencing the world that I want Drake's life to be as trouble-free and worry-free and as free of difficulty as can be, but it's also given him and us an amazing perspective on life that I don't know if I'd trade it.
What's the best thing about being Drake's mom?
What is the best thing about being Drake? It's like an emotional question. I would say that I didn't know a lot about disability before Drake was my son. I didn't grow up with people with disabilities. I didn't know people with disabilities. And so when Drake was born and had a disability, it was sort of the first time that I got to see how people with disabilities live in our world. And it's made me really aware of like how not accessible our world is for people in wheelchairs, and how hard Drake has to work to do things that are so simple for so many people. I would say that's the best part about being Drake's mom is getting to watch his attitude and how hard he tries, and just seeing how hard Drake tries to do things that other people can do and take for granted probably. And just sort of the awareness and empathy that I have now that I don't think I had before Drake, or I would have had if I hadn't had a child with disability. So I always try to think about that as well.
We're looking for student-produced films and videos to feature on TV. Learn more at uen.org/studentsinfocus to have your media considered for an upcoming episode of Students in Focus. Next up is Frame of Mind, produced by Carrie Oakey. Frame of Mind follows 3 multi-generation Asian American women who grew up in Utah. All 3 interviewees open up about their toils with self-image and internalized racism growing up in a homogenous society.
When we went to Utah and I went to school for the first time, immediately noticed that I was different. Immediately, just by looks and by the way that they treated me. Not that they treated me bad, but like questions they would ask me, right? I feel like all my life I always get asked, where are you from? And like sometimes they mean, where did I grow up? Where was I born, right? Sometimes they mean that, but a lot of times they're meaning like, what is your ethnicity?
I think I was always aware of the fact that I was different, even before I can really remember. My mom told me a story once about how when I was around maybe 4 years old, I had asked her to go shopping. And, she was curious, like, oh, what could my 4-year-old possibly want to go buy, you mean? And I told her I want to buy yellow hair.
Definitely suffer from like self-esteem issues. I think, especially in, I would say junior high was probably when it was the worst. Like I had like very young cheeks, and I like hated them in like junior high. I hated them. I was like, I hate my round Asian face. Like I hate it. Like I look like white chicks who are like super like angular and like the way my friends look, the way that celebrities looked, the way that I was just used to seeing in like movies and whatnot. So, and like being blonde. I wanted to be blonde just so badly. I was gonna say Mulan. Mulan was a big one that I got all the time. The fact that it was just like, oh, and if we're playing princesses, you're Mulan. And it's like, why? Why am I Mulan? And you're not that because I'm brave or I do the right thing or anything like that. You're gonna be like, it's because you're Asian.
Like since I was a child, like my identity was always explained to me by other people. And they were always people who, didn't look like me, who didn't share my ethnicity. And, it felt like every single person had to point out that I was different.
I mean, everyone's already awkward as it is in junior high, right? And then on top of that, it's like you are different from all of your friends, right? And so it feels like I don't want to be different in this way. Like why can't I have like, the big doe eye? Why can't I, right? Like, why can't I look like that? My brother and I went through phases of wearing color contacts to have like light colored eyes. Like I would forget that I'm Asian. And unless like it was up. So sometimes the way it was brought up is like looking at a picture, like with me and my friends, and I'm like, God, I look so different from them. God, I look so Asian. Why are my eyes so squinty like in this picture, right? Like it's stuff like that.
I just wanted so badly, to please people and not be offensive by simply being who I am.
It's like a thank you for reminding me that I'm like different in an outsider sense. Like I remember lunches, like if I brought lunch from home and it was like at all ethnic, there were questions about that. There were definitely questions about that. I think especially when I was younger, probably more like junior high to high school age, I would forget that I was Asian. Like I would literally forget. I would not think about these things, right? Until it was like a subject, until it was like a topic. And sometimes things were like neutral. Sometimes it was like a positive, add into the discussion or situation. And then sometimes it was negative. Photo ops are the ones that killed me. The photo ops are the ones that like annoyed me so much, where it's like I pulled up a little thing that's like hashtag diversity or like, this company supports like hashtag diversity. I was just like, are you saying you just hired me and promoted me because I'm Asian and a woman? Like that feels kind of like.
I remember I was in primary school once, and the primary school teacher had asked me where my parents were from, and I told her, my dad grew up in Tokyo, and she said, oh, so your dad's a Jap.
In Utah, one of the things that I think makes it difficult to grow up there as an Asian American is the fact that there's these subtle stereotypes that not everyone addresses.
I know that I dealt with kids in junior high who immediately just like didn't like me, placed me in a category of gross or not likable or whatever, simply because I was Asian, literally because of the way that I like looked.
As a kid, I heard things like, "Oh, Asian people are rude and they're cheap, and you can't trust them." And I believe those stereotypes. And when I happened to have a friend who was also Asian that I thought was a good person, I would just think that it was an exception, but I didn't really realize that whenever I saw an Asian person, that's what I would assume, even though I was Asian.
I think I always felt ashamed of, being Asian.
Those stereotypes never really left the people I knew growing up that were also Asian, and they learned to kind of hate their own race and try to run away from the fact that they're Asian, so it was really hard to see.
Kids that would like, do stupid like things, called like chichon, like saying stupid stuff like that, but like that definitely happened.
And it's funny because, my ancestors have spent generations trying to fit in and, assimilate. I feel like I always viewed myself through the frames that other people provided for me. I never really gave myself permission to actually view myself through my own frame.
We wrap up this episode with a filmmaker spotlight on Bryan Rowland, whose portfolio spans across various roles in the film industry. His latest role as showrunner for Welcome to Wrexham was celebrated with 2 Primetime Emmy Awards this year, one for picture editing and one for directing for a reality program.
I don't know what I do for work. I don't know. I do so many different things. I on my Instagram thing, where it says profile or whatever, I had started listing the things because you were talking about, when you work here, you wear a lot of different hats, and I do. I wear a lot of hats. I edit, I direct, I produce. I'm a DP, a cameraman, all that stuff. I'm just a junkie in the industry, and I do a lot of different things, and it's fun. I just have fun. That's what I do. I'm a worker. I actually changed it from all those things to worker. So that's what I do. Yeah, I do a lot of fun things. I was always told, do what you love, and this was the only thing that really, it felt like there were so many things you could do. It had so many different things you can get involved with, as far as on the artistic side, as far as, it covers everything, you know, it's everything. You can find a little area that, or at least I thought I could find a little area that I would just fall in love with, and man, just kind of fall in love with the whole thing. It's so much fun, it really is. Every day is different, and that's the joy and the curse of kind of working in this business. I got a job at the LDS church that has, here in Utah at least, they've got a significant footprint in production. They're doing film. Again, this was my ability, at least I wanted to get closer to making a movie. That was my dream, that's it. It's all I've ever wanted to do is make a movie, right? I feel like for a lot of us in the business, like that's the dream, right? You wanna make a movie or do something like that. Or at least for me it was. And so I saw going to a work at the church as the ability to get close to a real set, because in Utah it's tough. And I was doing this teeny little nothing job, but I found out they had that production house. And so I literally just drove down one day without telling my boss, started walking around the facility because I had the access card. And I was like, I saw a little corner of an office. I'm like, if I could set up here, I could get closer and start learning. And in a matter of like 2 years, I had a whole division under me at that place. It was amazing. I had set up a whole visual effects group, motion graphics group, and become like a really integral part of the studio because I saw that there was a need. They didn't do visual effects, they didn't do motion graphics, but it was so needed that we set that up, and it was great, and got that going, and I was there for a few years until I got an offer to go work somewhere else, and I saw another opportunity to keep growing. That's where I kept moving. My daughter was 9 at the time. I said, Sess, do you want to go out and help me shoot a little movie for just a second? And so she says, yeah. And so it was a Sunday afternoon, and so we just went out, and we went out into the North Fields behind our house, and I just shot basically a little portrait on her, just her little perspective, because she loves to draw. That was it. We shot it in an hour, I cut it together, and I sent it to my buddy. It was a friend of mine. And that's the thing, you never know who's gonna send what to what, right? Or what to who. It ended up getting in the hands of Blake Lively. She saw it and went, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I want for my new company that's being launched, which was amazing. So next thing you know, I was working with Blake Lively and helping her launch her company, and then made the transition into the commercial world. And then I went and did commercial work for years, and then I got an email from Bryan Rowland saying, hey, you know that stuff you did for Blake? I've got a new company I'm launching. Do you want to help me out with that? And that's how I got involved with Maximum Effort. It was Ryan Reynolds, it was George Dewey and myself that at least very early days that just started working on some of these things. And next thing you know, now we're 5-6 years after that, and boy, have things evolved. And now they've got me show running Welcome to Wrexham, and I'm still working heavily in all the commercial and all that fun stuff, and it has just been so much fun. Producing Wrexham, I've never really produced before, so that's been a very, very new thing, and in a good way, because it's pushed me in ways that I never thought I could. It's crazy, because my whole career I was kind of the one-man band, right? Where someone would come to me with a concept, and I would take that thing from soup to nuts. I would shoot it, I would edit, visual effects, motion graphics, sound design, get the file ready, and deliver it. And I really got used to that, and it was really great. To be honest, to answer that question, I would say that's what I love doing the most. Is I love knowing about all these different parts of because it makes you, especially as an editor, right? When you show up to set as a director, really knowing how to tell that story and how every aspect of it is going to come together. Your crew is amazing, and all your crew wants to know is just, dude, just tell me what you want. If you show up and you know what you want, and you know why that lens is that, and why you want it to be a little shaky, or why you want it to be wide, or why any of that stuff, and you know and you're confident, it makes those days on set just wonderful. Everybody's in a good mood, things are going well. If a problem comes up, you know how to solve it quickly because you know all the little tricks. And to kind of contrast that on the Wrexham side, what's been an interesting thing for me to learn is, as a producer, I've got teams of people. We have production crews all over the world. We've got post-production crews going like crazy. It's a huge staff. So you're learning how to steer the ship kind of from a distance. You're not able to grab that wheel necessarily. You're having to step back and then tell people from a distance, and that's a very different thing. And it's a little more nerve-wracking because I've been so used to just grabbing that wheel and just doing it myself, right? But yeah, so that's both sides. So the producing, the directing. But to be short, I love directing. I love it so much. Yeah, I feel like it's just effortless. I love it. So one of the things I love the most about what I'm doing right now, I feel so privileged and so excited, is that I work from Utah. So I work on a big show for, it's for FX, Hulu, Disney, whatever. And I work with, my biggest thing when I was trying to figure this out was, I live in Utah, how am I gonna make this work? And I remember one day I said, you know what, I'm gonna get so good where I'm gonna make Hollywood come to me. And that's what's happened, and it's incredible. So I get, this is horrible to say, but thank goodness for COVID, because COVID made it so people were used to working remotely. So I'm able to run my show from my office in Utah and just do Zoom calls all day, and I'll occasionally go out, but we have that set up. And then I'm able to work with my team globally. And then when I'm ready to fly out to wherever location I need to go to, things are set, ready to go. So it is very possible. It's unlikely, but things worked for me where it has been so wonderful to just not have to be in LA and New York. I love them, they're great. I'm just saying, Utah is so great. It's so great. If you're really serious about getting into the business, you gotta just start shooting and making crappy stuff. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be the worst. It's gonna be so embarrassing when you finish it, and you're gonna be like, it's garbage. But then the next one is gonna be better, and it's gonna get better and better and better and better. But you will get no better education than just going out and starting the process. Find your voice, because no AI is going to replace that, and that's gonna be the most important asset. But on the flip side, if you've got a voice and you've got a story to tell, what an amazing time to be a storyteller. Because the tools, holy cow. When I got started, just to get into edit you had to have $250,000 to just have a freaking edit bay. And so over the years, these things have just disappeared. These little barriers to entry just disappeared. But that one most important thing that's the most difficult is, what is your voice? And there's nothing that's gonna stop you as far as being able to develop that voice than just going out and start making crappy stuff and make your stuff better and find that voice. I can't emphasize enough how, I spend probably 2 to 3 hours a day doing tutorials, just for fun, because there's so many fun things coming out. Because the more of these little fun things you learn how to do, you're just a magician. I mean, you show up on set and you have the solutions, because there's such an amazing community that's out there that's continually developing and creating all these fun things, and it is such a fun time to be a creator. So yeah, and again, super pro education. Always be learning, always be learning. We've got a thing at work, we call it learn or burn, and it's really important. Always. And make the mistakes as you go, and don't be afraid.
Thanks again to Bryan for sharing his career journey and the exciting things coming up. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Students in Focus. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next episode. And you can check out past episodes at UEN Video. And hey, did I mention you can submit your project to be featured here on Students in Focus? See you next time.